Yep.
And we are live. Welcome back.
Yo.
This is Escape Pod, episode 10. We made it to 10. We're in double digits. It's big time. I'm Sean, along with Todd. We are here to, I was going to say entertain you for the next hour or so, but entertainment is subjective. We're going to have fun for the next hour, and you are allowed to watch us have fun if you want to. So today, trying something new. I'm going to animate, in the vein similar to our mystery modeling, where I came up with a topic for Todd. Todd is going to come up with a topic for me, and I'm going to see what I can animate in that given time. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's an experiment. All right. Todd, do you have anything that you want to say or add?
Just a reminder that on Monday, April 12th at 3 p.m. Central Time, we will be having a friend of ours, Mike Altman, on to talk about his awesome sketch modeling process that he uses inside of Maya, using really simple geometry to replicate the feel and kind of the emotion of some awesome concept art that he's finding from all these artists across the web. So that'll be a great conversation. He's going to show some process, and we have our very first Escape Pod contest tied to that talk at this point. So we will be announcing what that is during the actual live stream, and it will tie into the subject that Mike's going to be talking about. And there's going to be a cool prize. It's open to anyone and everyone, so there will be prize, and there are multiple winners that we're discussing. So we don't have all the details yet. You'll have to check in to kind of see what that's about, but it should be an awesome opportunity just to have some fun with us.
Yeah, so definitely, again, it's a different time than our regular Tuesday at 10. So it's Monday 3 p.m. And we'll set a reminder up. We'll get that going in the next day or two. So that'll be up there on YouTube. All right, we ready? I'm ready.
We're so ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready to animate?
Yes, I have not heard this topic until right now, until he tells me. So
This is so good.
I'm ready. Tell me.
I don't know if you're ready for this, Sean. So the mystery event is an unexpected jump scare.
Okay. It can be he's scared of anything.
Anything.
Okay.
Goes from a whatever normal state to something frightening them. Don't have to see it, don't have to know what it was, but it frightens them.
Okay. Can he be doing anything at the beginning?
He needs to be juggling. Yes, he can be doing anything.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
So I probably can't animate the whole thing in an hour, but I can come up with probably some decent poses. So
Yep.
I can probably block it out.
That's what I was curious to see, if you could show how you would kind of block out those basic poses and kind of show what it would be, and then maybe some other time worry about the in-betweening and splining.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got to start.
You better start. You're already 5 minutes in.
I know. All right. There we go. All right. We're transitioned over. So I'm going to animate this in Maya. I've got a free rig here called Malcolm from Anim School. But first, so I'm not gonna be able to do a regular process where I would shoot video reference and everything. So I'm gonna just draw some ideas.
And while Sean is doing that, I'm going to talk for a minute about what I'm going to be working on while I'm kind of peppering him with questions about what he's doing as he goes. So there's going to be an update to the first Boxers and Briefs background video. It's been a while. There's been a bunch of other stuff that's come up and whatnot. So what I do have up right now on my screen, even though we want to focus on what Sean's doing right now, so I'm up in the upper left, you can see kind of what the finished background ends up looking like. And I'm going to be putting out some again, the second part of that video of how to basically a walkthrough of the challenges that arose and kind of what I ended up doing to get what is now the final kind of undies, etc. background. In the meantime, I'm going to start working on roughing out the next background we're going to work on, which is the bus stop at the beginning of this particular episode and the bus itself. So I'm just going to be working through color blocking and kind of going through and doing some of the line work and getting that set up.
All right.
So do you usually do drawings before you start, Sean?
Yes. So I'll draw, and then I'll also shoot video reference. So those are the two biggest things at the beginning. But I'm not going to shoot video reference now, and my obviously, and so I'm just trying to not come up with like super cliched ideas, though. Trying to come up with something super fast invariably will be probably cliche. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what main poses I want. So I'm going to have him looking at something, and then I've got to have an anticipation down, and then this is the pose right now that I'm thinking about for when he's all the way up, scared or shocked, and then I need a breakdown. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I've got four things right there. So let's get going. Oh, we have a Bonnie. Bonnie is already asking questions. Hey, Bonnie, how are you? Todd, can you see the chat?
Yes. Is
Okay.
the character boxers or briefs or a different character?
Do you mean...
I think the character you're animating.
This is not. Sorry, this is a different... This is just for fun, what we're doing here. So I'm not animating boxers or briefs. I am actually animating in 3D inside of Maya. So again, this is just for fun. If we were animating boxers and briefs, we would be doing it in Harmony because we're building that in something different. So not Maya. So yeah, this is just for fun.
All for fun.
I did not build this model. This is a free rig that you can get from Anim School. So it's a rig that a lot of students will use because it's a good rig and it's free. I am not a modeler. Todd is the modeler. And good morning, Amanda. How are you doing? All right, I want that this way. And Annie is here, my favorite student. You're correct.
Well, it's a packed house today, Sean.
It is. Everyone came to see me animate, though they wouldn't have known that I was going to animate. All right.
So how much time would you usually spend, Sean, doing your kind of blocking and...
Like a real blocking pass?
Yeah, well, not even the blocking, like the stuff that you're working on right now in terms of the kind of roughing out, doing some sketching. Um, like how long do you think you would usually spend on a process like that?
So, how much would I spend, or how much would a student spend?
How much do you spend, and then how much do you think a student spends?
So, I would spend, man, coming up with the idea is the hard part. So, just shooting video reference, when I was working on movies, I might spend the morning. It depends on, obviously, it depends on the type of shot and how big it is. For something like this, you know, an hour or two of straight filming, and then the drawing part is the taking what you've done, taking the video reference and kind of the idea that you have,
Hmm.
and then you're basically exaggerating it. That's what the drawings are for, because if I'm animating on a movie, I might be animating something that doesn't even look like me or has a completely different body shape. Like for the chipmunks, you know, their center of gravity is super low. It's not like a human. So you've got to be able to translate or interpret what your body is doing, and then put it on that form. So, I would take the morning is what I would normally do,
Nice.
and get that done. A lot of times also depends on like how much time you would have to get that done.
So the question can do you film yourself or do you film other people for your reference?
It depends. So normally I film myself. I would want to film myself because it's. I want to be able to do it. I want to be able to do that action, and then I can get really specific. However, if it's not something that I can do, there's certain things that I just can't do. Or if I'm not like a pro at doing that move, if it's something that's like a skilled move, so let's say it's an easy one would be like a weightlifter, right? Let's say they're doing some kind of motion like that. Well, I'm not gonna be able to do that. So I can't lift gigantic heavy weights, and even if I could, my form would probably not be correct if that's what I'm trying to show, if I'm trying to show somebody good. So I would go and find reference of that and pull it, off YouTube or whatever. It doesn't really matter. So, but generally, I want to film it myself. There were times where you might be animating and in a studio setting, and you might find somebody who's like particularly good at doing certain things, like another animator, and so you might use them. There were the only times that I ever can remember not shooting all by myself was when I was animating two people at the same time. So there was a shot that I did on Alvin where there were two characters who were interacting, and so I always shot that with my supervisor. And then there was a shot that I did on Hop, and it had a character sitting on top of another character, and so I just got one of my buddies to. I actually put him on my shoulders, and we just kept walking up and down the hall over and over and over, filming that.
I really like Hop.
Do you? I haven't. I don't know that I've seen it.
I don't really like it that much.
I don't. I only watched two of the movies that I ever worked on.
Only two, huh?
I watched Alvin 1, and that was because my wife made me go to the theater and watch it. So I watched that one, and I watched Land of the Lost, which I really didn't animate a ton on, but I was a supervisor on that one. So
I don't like watching the stuff that I ended up working on.
yeah, it was a little bit of, you've seen how the sausage was made, and you don't
You
want to.
kind of remember all the bad stuff.
Right. How much do I have to pay to see that reference? Hey, you know what, Annie? I would absolutely show you any of that. I just don't have any of it. Because it's actually really entertaining. We did, I have two funny stories. When I was shooting the reference with the guy on my shoulders, we did it for a really long time. And the tricky thing was the shot was it was in hop when the main villain, who's kind of big, or big compared to the other chicks. So he was riding on top of a really small chick. So it was supposed to look like the guy underneath was having a lot of trouble. So I was trying to look like I was losing my balance. And eventually, we had done it so many times, eventually I did. I got tired. Because we had been doing it for probably 20 minutes, and I had this dude on my shoulders, and I was just going up and down the hallway, up and down the hallway, and I was trying to act like I lost my balance. And eventually I did, and I tipped over and I slammed him into the wall. But what was really funny is our first response was we looked at each other and we said, "Oh, I bet that was great reference. I hope we got it on video." So that was pretty funny. And then this one wasn't me, but I did see the video footage, and it was for Yogi Bear. They in one of the shots, he had jumped out of like a plane or something, and he was falling to the ground, and the shot was looking right at his face, and so they wanted his cheeks to like be jiggling around with air. So a guy brought in a leaf blower, and he had a guy basically just put it in his face and shoot it at him. Well, sometimes on a leaf blower, the long tube on it is not always connected, and so he was blowing it and the tube shot off, and it shot him right. I mean, it was like 2 feet from his face, and it just blasted him right in the face.
Oh man.
So I felt pretty bad, but they passed that video reference around, so we got to watch that. But yeah, I never saved any of my video reference. Always threw that away.
It's a shame.
Yep. I'm having a little bit of trouble here getting this guy's hand on his face in the position that I want. So that's why I keep moving this around, and he also has a gazillion controls that are a little bit hard to maneuver sometimes here. Oh, sorry, Annie, you missed the story. Sorry. All right. I'm also trying to find his clavicle. I don't know where his clavicle is. Maybe it's that. There we go. All right, so if you're late to the stream and you're wondering what in the world I'm doing, Todd gave me a topic and I'm trying to animate to it as quickly as I can.
The topic is jump scare.
Yeah, he's just supposed to look at something and be scared. So what I'm trying to get him to do right now is to look at something. So I'm trying to get his hand around there. It's just an awkward position right now. All right. He's not supposed to be covered. His hand is huge compared to his face. So let me show you real quick. This is what I'm trying to get, that pose right in there. He's so lanky. I also like to get a curve through that arm just a little bit. So I do have a question, Bonnie. Are you a student? Are you a student here at UTD? How did you find our stream, our incredibly entertaining stream? Todd and I want to know.
I believe the answer to that is yes.
All right, so we're gonna stop with that right there. Let's. I think I have joints on. Hold on. Let's. All right, turn those back on. All right, so I'm gonna set a key if that'll set. There we go. She's one of your students, Todd.
Yep.
Okay, so I've got a rough pose here. This is not complete, but it's enough right now. I'm not positive it really looks like he's looking down at something. It looks like it's a little bit of a like a feminine pose where he's like made a mistake, like oops, and he's we'll try to correct that later. So if we're just doing key poses right now, what I'm gonna do is lift him up. It does, Bonnie. So this is a this rig is probably like the closest to professional that you can probably get for free. So it's got everything. It has, you know, we can do whatever we want to with the hands. You can fully animate the face and do lip sync. So this is what a lot of the kids, what a lot of the students are using in Animation 3 right now. So this rig is a pretty common one, just because it works pretty well. There's a lot of controls on it, but once you get past that little kind of learning curve of all these NURBS curves, it's a good rig, and I recommend it. One, for its overall usability and like posability and like what you can actually do with the rig, and two, because it's free. All right. So usually I would say doing a blocking pass on something like this would take like a good solid blocking pass, where we're just getting blocking being key poses and maybe some breakdowns. Definitely a few hours. So
It makes everything go that much faster, though, right?
what does?
Like if you spend enough time on your blocking, does it make your spining and your in betweens much easier?
Oh yeah. So you're always going to spend you know, I always say to animate a shot takes X amount of time, you know, whatever time that is, depends on the complexity of the shot. You can spend a lot of time in blocking and it makes the rest of it easier, or you can spend little time in blocking and it's going to make everything more complicated and take longer. It's just where do you want to put that time in? It will, if you can work out a lot of your problems, like your in-betweens and breakdowns in your blocking, then yeah, it makes the rest of it a lot easier. All right.
I was learning animation, Sean. They didn't teach blocking.
They didn't?
That's why I don't animate.
You just went for it?
I remember I was trying to learn how to. It was in Maya, and we had to animate a flying. It was like a crane, something like that. That was like taking off, right?
Yeah.
And we had some reference that we'd have to find and everything. But man, I didn't know what was going on in the graph editor. Um, so you would set everything, and it would look okay, and then all of a sudden everything's too fluid, so we didn't understand like stepped, blocked, like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It was just straight spline the whole time,
Yeah.
and I can say that does not work well.
Well, what I will say is eventually, this is probably the best way to learn how to animate is doing is making sure you block things out and you're looking at pose to pose, because then you're worried about the actual pose, treating it as a drawing. Like, is this a good drawing? If I looked at this all by itself, does it communicate well? And most animators do continue to work like that. But I do know some who don't do that at all, and they work straight into spline.
That's pretty crazy.
But that's the exception. One of the guys that I used to worked with at Rhythm, and then he went and worked at DreamWorks for a while, and I believe he was at Blue Sky as well. He shoots his video reference, and he gets his video reference approved. Rather than doing a blocking pass, he just gets his video reference. Like, yep, that's
cool.
that's what I want to see. Now, it takes a lot of trust from a supervisor. Like, the supervisor has to know that he's capable of doing that, which he has. He's been around long enough, and he's good enough. But then he immediately just goes into spline and just starts splining it all out. I don't work like that. I'm not. My brain doesn't quite work like that. So it can be done. However, I certainly don't recommend it for somebody who's just starting out, trying to learn animation.
Does the model have rigs for the fingers? Yeah, everything on this thing is all set up. It's complete character rig that he's using, all the way from all the controls, the entire body, squash and stretch, everything.
Bonnie, so what I'm doing right now, I'll show you in just a second. What I'm doing right now is called blocking, which is what you would generally call your first step in animation when you're animating. And that is working out just individual poses, which would be key poses. And then, so what I'm doing right now are key poses, which you would call like extremes. Like, what's the furthest point that, if we're talking about a jump or something, like the bottom and the top of the arc. It doesn't always mean that. It can also mean what are like the overall like big emotions or like changes in emotions. So it just depends on the type of shot. Could vary. But we're looking at extreme, those key poses. What are the main points in the animation? And then you can also have what are called breakdowns or in-betweens. So how do you get from one key pose to the next? So let's look at what I've got here. These are not great, but
Did you answer the question about what a spline is, Sean?
I'm working on it. So we've got this pose and then this pose, right? So you could call these key poses, but you can see it just pops from one to the next. And that's blocking, where you're in this kind of stepped mode where you just move from one pose to the next and we're not seeing fluid movement. The next step would be called splining or going into spline. And they call it that because of the, when you get into the graph editor, I can pull that up real quick. When you get into the graph editor and you see these things right here, which are keys, and these are keys, and the line in between is called a spline curve. And so when you start to smooth it out, they just call it spline. We're going to flip it over to spline. So that's all it is. It's basically taking something that goes from pops from pose to pose, and you're smoothing it out to make it look like what you would see in a movie or a TV show or whatever, where it's that smooth movement.
really nice too about all the blocking stuff and the importance of it is like when we're doing this stuff in Harmony, it's pretty much all blocking,
Pretty
or
much.
at least a lot of it. And then the brain health stuff that we did last year, or not last year, 2 or 3 years ago, whatever it was at this point. I mean, even I was able to go through and, with limited knowledge of blocking to rough out some stuff really quickly that works for like After Effects animation or for, in that case, we are doing it in Illustrator going into After Effects. But I think it's awesome, even for people who don't want to be an animator necessarily, to understand that because you can go through and do some really simple animation.
Yeah, it totally depends on what the goal is of what you're trying to do, and then also the style. The thing that I'm doing right now is a specific type of animation. It's something that you would normally see in your regular 3D TV shows or movies, right? That's what I used to do. But when you get into some different programs and using Harmony, not that you can't animate kind of the same way, but sometimes it's a different style that you would do in there, and so it calls for different things, and sometimes it can be faster. Again, it just kind of depends. So I need an anticipation. So this guy's supposed to be looking at whatever, and then he's going to drop down. Got to go one way before we go the other here. Oh, good grief. 30 minutes are already up.
I was really hoping to see some finished animation, but apparently that's not going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll hit spline at the end.
That's good enough for me.
It will be atrocious,
Hey,
but
that's what I was thinking when I was doing the modeling stuff the other day. It's like 30 minutes is nothing.
yeah,
It's like 30 minutes you're just getting warmed up.
right.
Do we want to mention what's coming up in May?
Sure. I think I mean, we're going to do it, so.
Yep. So in May we're doing was it 36 hour?
No, please, no, 32. Because
32. Oh,
32
I'm
is
sorry.
so much
Those
better.
4 hours are gonna make a huge difference.
Yeah.
A 32-hour live stream. We're gonna have some pre-recorded materials that are going, but all of this is to we have it in the at UT Dallas. They have opportunity funds for students, and over the past year or two, Sean has set up an opportunity fund for the animation program here. So we're going to be doing kind of a fundraising event for ATech animation here at UT Dallas. We're going to have all kinds of guest speakers coming on, alumni coming on to talk about things. We have our own kind of project stuff. We're going to be showing some new materials there, all kinds of interesting stuff that we're still in the planning stages. So it should be interesting, if nothing else.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of yes, 32 hours. We'll see how much fun it's going to be on like hour, for
4.
me, like hour 16. I need my sleep. But it will be maybe entertaining. How about that? But there's going to be a lot of people coming on, so it should be a whole lot of fun. Lots of interviews, and we'll see. We don't have it all planned. We do have a lot of guests, though, that we've already contacted. So, all right. So if you're looking at this, if you can see this, we've got this original pose right here where he's kind of looking at something. Again, it's not great. Yeah, it'll be... So, yes. So, yes, it'll all be recorded because it'll be streamed, so it'll go up there. And then what we might do is later go back up and chop out some of the interviews so we can put those up later because nobody wants to try to scroll through 32 hours of a stream or something. But the dates are lined up, Annie, because we are doing this in conjunction with Giving Day at UTD. So they kind of go together, right? So the overall goal will be to help raise money for this animation fund endowment. And that takes place on May 26th and May 27th for whatever that 1,969 minutes. So I believe it starts at 10 a.m. on the 26th, but we'll get more information out. We're going to have a really a great calendar going for like every hour what's happening. We'll be sending out updates and all of that kind of stuff. So tons of stuff. So we're pretty excited about all of that. And it won't be a lot of the other faculty here, they're wanting to come in and jump on this. But again, a lot of alumni and then other industry professionals from all different aspects. So should be fun. All right, so we've got like this initial pose where he's looking at something. This is an anticipation down, so once they get scared, then it's going to pop down. And then this is the overall, right now, it's not a great pose. None of these are great poses, but I'm just trying to work fast. We've got this. I need a breakdown in between this anticipation to here. So how does he get from this pose to this pose? That would be something that you need to figure out. So what are we animating? Who Studio Paris Green, I recognize your little avatar. How are you doing, Poppy? I am animating a topic that Todd told me about 38 minutes ago, which is a character getting scared and jumping. So trying to, I'm good. Working as quickly as I can.
I think it looks great.
Oh, thanks, Todd.
It's way better than I thought it was going to be.
I don't know if that's good or bad. Whatever.
I was just joking.
All right, so I got to get a pose in between, and we're going to try to do something real stupid.
We do that really well here.
Yes. I never participated, but there were a couple of guys at Rhythm and Hues, the studio I used to work at, they tried to do it. They were doing it on Alvin too. They would try to work in the ugliest in-between that they could. So they would do it like on a really fast move, like a head turn or something. They would try to put in the ugliest like face shape that they could and still get away with it, like it still make it into the movie. So they never would get it because invariably they would be in dailies and somebody would stop it. And then it would always stop on like that pose, and they're like, "What?" You'd always hear like, "What is that?" And then you'd be like, "Oh, sorry, must stray key. I don't know what happened there. I'll fix that." But I remember it was really funny. I remember it was a really fast head turn, and they put in like it looked like a rabid, just snarl, nasty, feral Alvin with like just nasty teeth. His eye was like all swollen and big. And I was like, if that makes it in, that's awesome. But it didn't. It got caught.
We used to do stuff like that on Neutron. It almost never got through.
Yeah, never.
Although there was a few things that did that I can't really mention on here. But we used to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lighters tend to catch it, right? Because they're looking at everything.
See, we would sometimes talk to the lighters ahead of time, so they were in on it. We had a running gag though in the modeling group. We had this one stupid asset. It was a pair of Jimmy Neutron's binoculars, and it was like their heads were so friggin' big, right?
Yeah.
So it was completely weird, the size and the scale and proportion, but the animators always had him up to his head the wrong way. So he'd be looking in the big end, like the lens, into like, so the small end is like pointing out,
Yeah.
and it was always wrong. So then we went through and we got like, okay, we're just gonna put markers. We used to put markers inside. It was a non-renderable geometry where I would spell out words,
Yeah.
and it said front. So we put this is the front. So then they kept doing it, thinking the front was supposed to front his face. So it's like we just gave up. It was, I mean, stupid stuff like that, but it was kind of funny at the time.
Yeah. That would be interesting, Bonnie, to try to incorporate it.
We got 15 minutes, Sean.
Oh, good grief.
So I think this is a good lesson for those students that we do have here with us that animation takes time,
Yeah.
more than an hour before class.
If you want it to be good.
So how long on average did you get for a shot?
Yeah. So I think the typical film average is it's roughly 3 to 4 seconds per week. That's the normal. If you're working at one of the big studios, if you're working at other places though, smaller places, if you're working on TV, that quota is way bigger. So it just depended. Rhythm was a little bit different in that we didn't really have a quota because we were a client. We were working for somebody else, and so you could never always count on like getting something done in time because it didn't always rely on you. Rhythm was if you got like between 8 to 12 shots, usually you were fine. Like they didn't really say anything. And a lot of times you were juggling multiple shots at the same time, so it was a little bit different. When I worked at Real Effects, I want to say it was like 6 to 8 seconds or something. I think that's what it was. And then I know TV is way higher than that.
I know the Neutron ones were crazy.
I know Neutron by the end it was like 45 seconds.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Okay, do you see when I scroll through this? So we got the starting position. We've got an anticipation because in animation we've got to, if you're going to do something, you anticipate that movement. If I want to go up, I've got to go down first to build up force. So I'm going down, and then this is the breakdown of how I'm getting from that. So it's a little bit messy right now. It's a little bit clunky. Like if you watch this hand right over here that he has out his back, you know, it's fine right there, and then it pops up, and then it pops back down. So it's not necessarily wrong, but you would want to make sure that, you know, you're making sure that that looks correct. These poses are not great overall, but we're just trying to get in there quick. but you can hopefully kind of see what I'm trying to do. So after that, what he would do, this is kind of a Looney Tunes kind of pose that he's doing here, where he's getting really straight. Again, it needs refinement, but they would probably just like hold that pose up there, and then he would need to land. So let's get him on the ground. So we can come back over here and zero out some of this. This is more stressful than I thought it would be.
I didn't really like it the other day.
I mean, it's kind of fun, but
It's good, but it's you don't feel like you can do what you really want to do because
right.
all of a sudden the time's gone.
It's not my regular process, so I feel like I'm rushing, and it's not it's not clean. Oh, 10 minutes.
You're doing good.
All right, let's script through these. So here's what I need. I need a breakdown between this extreme and then getting on the ground, and then I need like a extreme low. So there's two poses that you kind of need to finish this. Or at least the idea.
I think it looks good.
Are you even looking at it? You're just saying that.
No, you can tell. Those watching can see me looking at the screen. Looks good.
All right, so we'll stretch. Nope, come back. All right. So I'm actually gonna, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna copy. Will that paste? All right, we're gonna use this pose reuse what I've got here. And we're just going to push them a little bit lower, a little bit over. So I'm going to alter this pose in the air so it meets up a little bit better with where he lands, because his feet end up so far back. I'm just going to shift that. No, what'd I do? I made a blade blast on accident. Clicking too fast. Ooh, after you add keys, if you save X and go back later, are you selecting? Are you selecting the curves, Amanda? So if I don't select anything, you can see how there's nothing there, right? So they're not just there. They're on the curve that you're selecting. There you go. I have somehow twisted this guy's elbow, so I'm not sure the correct the correct way it's supposed to rotate. I think it's supposed to go that way. All right, so part of this doesn't make any sense because he goes backwards and then he comes down and he goes forwards. So we got to fix it.
4 minutes left.
I can do it.
I know you can.
There, that's better. All right, so there's some these are rough poses, right? It's what I could do in an hour to get this guy who sort of looks like he's looking at something, get scared, jump and land. Sorry, just looking at something there. I didn't really get a chance to pose any of his hands, the fingers, or his face. Not in the cards today. However, what we can also do, real quick, we can try to guess at some timing here.
Let's see some of this time.
All right. How long do I think it'll take to do all of this, to actually do a real jump? Let's see. So we want him to look. That's not what I want.
What everyone doesn't understand is we've already time-lapsed this 400%. This is Sean working at 400 speed. This is one of the things, too, that I don't think it's ever fun to watch somebody animate or model or texture or shade, because it tends to be pretty boring. Sean's deep in thought.
Well, this rig is super heavy or something, so it's like real slow trying to move those things. So if I'm not really paying attention, then it was gonna fly all over the place.
Well, if somebody was just starting off with animation, like how many controls, how much do you really think they need to start doing some actual blocking and splining and like how much is too much up front? Like,
what are they trying to do? Like pose a character like this?
If someone, for instance, was trying to take just a basic character and do some poses and whatnot, right? Do they need controls for all things, or do you think that you can still learn some of these things on simplified rigs that have basic controls to them? Or
if you're just starting out, less is more. I mean, if I gave this to a person who has just started out, who knows what they're going to do? I mean, because you can do way too many things with this. I would guess if you gave it to somebody who was just starting out, the controls would be overwhelming and they would quit. Honestly, because you don't know what there's so many things on there. So simplified is much better. All right, that was a rough timing that I just guessed at, and I think it's all right. He probably needs to stay in the air longer because it's a cartoony pose and they need the cartoony timing to stay up there, but overall
it looks good. Not bad for 1 hour.
Not bad for 1 hour.
You went over by a minute.
Oh, I lost. I failed. All right. There There we go. Ooh, we have a question. Do we ever record time lapses of your process? Yes, absolutely. We both do.
Yep.
So for the modeling classes, I know Todd has some of his, and for the animation, I have stuff for mine. So in, I know in Animation 2, I have several of the assignments that are, I animate the whole process all the way through, start to finish, and talk over parts of it. It's time-lapsed, and I know Todd does the same. So
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about posting some videos of like animation stuff and modeling stuff and kind of how to, and a lot of that's going to be just recorded, and most of that, I mean, some of it may not be time lapse because up front there's some explanation that goes into it to make it make sense. But for a lot of it, it may be time lapse with the explanation just kind of as a narration over the top of it. So I think it's a great way to learn because you kind of see it, but you're not having to spend. It's not one-to-one in terms of, I mean, watching someone try to do it and try to figure it out while they're working through it. It takes a lot of time. So, but yeah, and that's the thing too. If whatever people want to see more of, leaving comments and things like that, it helps us to kind of, okay, maybe we'll do some more things like that or like this, just to kind of show stuff.
yeah, right now we're just experimenting, seeing what all of it is stuff that we like to do. But part of it is, what do you like? What is beneficial? So right now I think the CG part of it is stuff that we're good at already. That's what we were doing professionally. So we can certainly do that kind of stuff, and that's fun. And I would say that's something that comes really natural to us. With the harmony stuff, obviously you've seen that stuff we're trying to learn because just like you guys are students, we're trying to learn that because we think it's cool, and we want to do projects like that involve that kind of process and that have that kind of look, and that's just stuff that we're interested in. So that's always going to be here because we have fun doing that, and we both like to learn and all of that stuff. But also, we're trying to figure out what you guys like as well. So there'll always be a mix of both.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Hey, thanks for showing up and watching me animate very quickly, slightly poorly, and chatting with us. All right? Episode 10 in the books, Todd. Double digits.
Dude,
We
10
did
weeks
it.
already, huh?
I guess. Well, no, a couple of those were. One was Lauren, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was on Monday, wasn't it?
That was a Monday, but we did Tuesday right after that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh, that's right.
so 9 weeks, I guess. I don't know. Who's keeping track? Alrighty. So long. Have a great rest of the week. Remember,
Thanks.
next Monday, 3 o'clock, special interview, Mike Altman, Pixar modeler, is going to show his process for his sketch modeling. Will be super cool. His stuff is awesome. So come check us out then. Special time, Monday, 3 p.m. Okay?
Central Time.
Central, yes. I forget to say something like that because I'm like, who would be watching us outside of Central Time? But I guess there could be. Alrighty. Goodbye.
Bye.